Hi, how are you doing today? Fancy a walk and a chat? Let's go. So, I want to start today with a quote. See what you think of this one. You treat yourself the way your mum treated you. You treat yourself the way your mum treated you. Does that ring true for you? Have a think about it. So, the mother is the heartbeat of the family, isn't it? What she modelled, you absorbed. The good and the bad. Do you ever find yourself saying, "Oh God, I sound like my mother"? Have you ever found yourself saying that? Because I have many, many times, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? So, I want to talk about the lessons and the legacies. What you learn from your mum and what you can pass down to your kids. Almost think of it like a filtration system. What's coming into you, through you, and out of you to your kids. The lessons then, so what have you learned, or what are you learning, and what is it that you've learned from your mum that you want to let go of? It's not a blame thing. She went through her own things, right? She was in the world that's different today. She had a different set of circumstances. Her perception of life made her the way she is. Same for you right now. So there's no blame here. It's about awareness. So let's get into the lessons. What you're learning to let go of. So I'm going to be open and vulnerable here. And I hate writing this out, and you feel like you're blaming your mother. You feel like you're pulling apart her and taking all the cons of her. It's not like that. It's like I said, that filtration system. It's not a bad thing, but it feels icky. It feels icky to do this. So I'm just letting you know it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to write down and do. It's not an easy thing to say out loud. But there's a good point to it at the end. So for me, the lessons that I've learned that I want to let go of, the top one I'm still working on, and it's shouting and being reactive to my kids. So my mum was a shouty parent, and to be fair, she did a lot of it on her own. My dad worked on the rigs for a number of years when I was really young. So he worked 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So my mum had me a lot, I get it, I understand it. But because of that, and because she didn't have the tools that I perhaps have, she says, she was more reactive with her parenting style, more shouting. And that is something that I have taken on, I have absorbed. And it's something I want to let go of. And I laugh because I feel like a bit of a hypocrite. Oh, she hasn't got my skills. I've learned about mindfulness. I've trained in mindfulness. And I use it in every other element of my life to the best of my ability. But with my kids, this is one hell of a trigger for me, where I am so reactive and the shouty parent that I don't want to be. And mindfulness brings kindness, gentleness, no judgment around it, and I use that a lot. And I forgive myself every time, and I try and learn the lessons, and I try to be responsive rather than reactive. So it is a lesson I'm learning, but there's something alongside that, because to see the shouty parent, the controlling parent, there's an element of masculine to that. Control, everything has to be that way. And I've mentioned this a lot in my videos because it is something I'm working on. And there was a lot of masculine energy there, despite my masculine parent, my paternal, my dad being away a lot of the time. My mum sort of had to be both, I guess, and she was more masculine in her energy. And I've taken that on. I mean, we're both fire signs. She was an Aries and I'm a Leo. My dad was a Leo and my brother is an Aries. So it was a fiery household, right? A lot of fire, a lot of masculine energy. And so I'm bound to absorb that, right? And this is probably, it's in your bones almost. It's something that you've really got to work on to get more feminine. So that's the lesson there. Resentment. She held quite a lot of resentment, I feel, from my perspective, about life, about people. I use this example a lot about how I came to realise that I didn't want kids because of not having a life. That was the resentment I took on from my mum, because when I asked her why she didn't go to uni, why she didn't travel, because I had your brother so young, like that. She never said the words exactly, but that resentment in her voice, I took on, I absorbed it, and I said, okay, the tone of that voice, I mean, I did all this subconsciously, then having kids means having no life. And I took that on. And I think she had that a lot through life and people. It carries on to this next point. So I think she was quite lonely. And I think that's because she did have friends. And then it's like in the last video I did about being lonely. She had friends, but then I think she got to a point in life where she didn't want to people please anymore. She didn't want to just fit in, she wanted to belong. I think she got to that point. But I don't think she could be bothered to really belong. So you'll know what I mean if you've seen that video. But if I have to be like you, I fit in. If I get to be like me, I belong. That's the difference there, that's what I'm saying. And I think she maybe got half that way. I mean, she was 60 when she died. She still had really a lot of years in her to maybe find this bit out. She got to the point, I don't just want to fit in anymore. I don't think she went that extra bit to really find herself and find where she belonged. So the loneliness, that's something I want to let go of, and that resentment. So then we move on to the more positive side, right? This is where I feel better about, glorifying, and the sun comes out as I say that, glorifying her life. These are her legacies. This is what I want to pass on to my kids. This part of my mum, this part of the ancestral line. So she was strong-willed, very strong-willed. And do you know what? I know I am. And I don't think I have to pass this on to my kids because they already are. So, strong-willed, determined. That's the first thing that comes into my head when I'm thinking about this. So strong-willed and determined. There's things I don't want to say in the video because they're a bit private, but there were things she did in her life where she went against the grain. Stubborn, if you will. So that is determined and strong-willed. Desire to have fun. I say she had a desire to have fun because she didn't, because of the whole shouting and controlling, you didn't see it very much in everyday life. But I knew it was in there. I knew she wanted so much to have fun. And when I worked on cruise ships, she was almost living her life through me. I could feel that. So the way I saw it wasn't in the everyday. It was in holidays. It was in the sun. I got that from her, that passed down, that love for the sun. I've left the UK to be here, to be in the sun. I'm currently in Malaysia. It's boiling. It can get overpowering, but I'd much rather have this than the cold back home. And she loved her holidays. I've got really good fond memories of being on holiday and seeing that side of her, seeing that fun side of her and her light up. So the legacy there is to pass down that in everyday life, not just in the down times. So to be less reactive and shouty and a bit more fun, that's what I want to pass down. This next one is firm but fair. And along with that, she was approachable. So I want to talk a little bit here about, I want to give an example as to what I mean by this. I know there's a lot of parents out there, especially the mother-daughter relationship, where they want to be best busy mates, they want to be friends. The mother wants to be friends with the daughter. And I get that, you know, that bond, that mother-daughter bond, there's nothing like it. You might go to the spa together, you might go for lovely walks or coffees and chat like your friends. I get that, I love that. But if that's all you are, I think there's something missing. Because you can also relate it to a boss and a friend. So if you've got a friendship and then suddenly you're the boss, you actually work together, but you're the boss of that friend, how blurry is that line? Where's the boundaries? You know, the boss is trying to instill some authority and the friend, the colleague is going, you don't mean it, it's fine, I'll take it on the chin. There's no real, respect of each other's roles. And I think if you have that the blurred lines in the mother-daughter relationship, it can be like that. It can be like the working relationship. I think there needs to be boundaries. And that's what I loved about our relationship. My mum was very approachable, you know. I could talk to her about periods. I could talk to her about anything. She didn't come to me about these things. She didn't tell me about her life and her periods and things like that. And I've mentioned that in a video. But she was there if I went to her. So she would be that friend, that safe space I could go to. But if I needed pulling up or kicked into touch, she would do that and all. And I think that is something I embraced about our relationship. Firm but fair. That's something I want to pass down in these legacies. So to understand then this ancestral line, where we don't put blame on, is, you know, how did it come to be her? I've mentioned her situation, her life experience, her perception of life, her circumstances. That's how it came to her, and it filtered through her from my grandparents. And then it comes to you, and then it goes down the chain through that absorption, which may be conscious or unconscious. But you don't have to pass it all down. That's what I'm saying here. You get to choose, when you're more mindful and aware of all this, you get to choose what you pass down to your kids. So ask yourself this: how am I treating myself right now? And how am I treating my kids? Because your kids are watching and they're absorbing all of it. So I invite you to be mindful of what you're passing down. Learn the lessons and keep the legacies. The line changes with you. Make it a good one. Thanks for watching. Much love. Bye for now.